All right, so I'm going to talk about TraderFlow. I know a lot of you have already heard of it. I'm really excited about it. We just released it, 3 months ago, and I'm like, we've done a lot in 3 months. So I forgot there we go. So I just want to do a quick recap of everybody. So some of y'all have already signed up and have already used it and tested it and everything. So just wanted to give a huge thank you to everybody. So thank you very much. Especially to all the testers and everything. In 3 months, there's, looking at a lot of the other software on the market, there's like, TradeZilla and Trader Jupiter and Trader Moon and Trader Clown Job or something, I don't know. But like a lot of those other companies, they have these huge, development firms with, 100,000 people or 100 people or 50 people or more than 3 people. And, we have a ton of features that they already have with just our small crew. And there is like a huge key differentiator between this software, the purposes of that, and a lot of theirs. I don't want you to think that like, oh, this is just another one of the 20 tools that I have, an indicator that's going to help me, pick my trade better, and then I'm going to make $1 million. This is really supposed to be kind of like a transformational thing to take things that like OnMall are already, teaching, and just kind of help you facilitate and like make that a part of your core like personality and transformation to help you like better treat this as a business and be successful. Yeah, so far we've taken what OnMall's given me so far and what all of you have and put it into this application. Kind of the vision of this is becoming what we would refer to as like the bionic trader, and ultimately for that is like 4 key components, at least first. And also want to just like throw it out there off the top of my head. This is evolving, like an evolving application. Like, this is what we have so far, but ultimately, we're open to feedback. Like, we're in control of this thing. We can make it however, you want, whatever will help you better. But, initially it's just focus. What we have so far is like the idea is speed. Not everybody struggles with order entry, but some people do. Like, hey, I want to get into this kind of thing, and I'm just slow. So one of the key components of this is just making it very, very fast, having it emotionless. So this way you can use tools to kind of curb your emotions. So this way, you're less reliant on, oh, should I do this or should I do that? You kind of have software there that like helps you automate some of those things, so you're less reliant on your stability and your emotional state. And then data powered, like and another thing, there's nothing on here that's to like take anything away from, it's not in trying to compete with Stefan or Luke or OnMall's like training. There's tons of value in, doing things by hand. I still take notes by hand. Like, I have a notebook over there. I probably took 20 pages of notes so far. But some of the data that you can get just by using computers doesn't make any mistakes, and it's like 1,000,000 times faster. I can do 10,000 back tests in 1 minute. If you try to do that, by hand, it's going to take you days to do that. So there's some advantages there. And then personalization. So with the power of AI, AI has some strengths and weaknesses. It's not the best at like picking trades. It's not going to tell you when to enter or when to exit. But a lot of the language learning models are really, really good at psychology. So we can use AI there to like act as like like you're at a prop firm, like every 30 minutes, like, hey Chester, how you doing? Or hey, hey, how are you? Like just to check in, like how are you feeling right now? So this way, you have that kind of constant feedback loop and response. So some core pillars, speed execution. I'm not going to read the whole entire slide to you, but we've done some performance metrics on this software, and just for basic order entry, we're able to actually enter orders faster with the TraderFlow software than you are on your broker, which can be awesome, especially if you're looking at a 1-minute chart and you're seeing something, you're like, oh, I want to get in. Or especially if you're like an options trader and you're like, hey, I want to get into Q's options, but you don't want to take the time out to open the option chain and try to figure all of that stuff out. This can do all of that automatically for you. One of the more recent updates that we added to was, for the 1-minute flash, adding that high of day, low of day, automatic share sizing. So this way you don't have to be like, oh, I want my stop loss here, but how many shares does that? Even just that like calculator you pop out or whatever, there's a few seconds there. In that few seconds it might pop, and then you're like, oh, is the trade even still worth it to get in anymore? So this can kind of curb that and speed that up, make that a little bit faster for everybody too. Some of the other advantages, order management, and automation. So along with the back testing, You can backtest, 7,000 different, I think we're up to like 7,000 different order management strategies. We just added 9 EMA and 2 EMA just in the past couple weeks. So you can actually go through and take all of your trades and put them in here and then run them through like 7,000 different backtests, and it'll come out with, hey, if you did this particular order management strategy in your past 100 trades or in the past year, this is where you would have been. And this is all automatic, so it's like you can do all this stuff in a spreadsheet, and that's also valuable. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it in a spreadsheet. You probably should, just to get the idea of like, hey, this is what I'm actually doing. But like this will do the actual real work for you on a larger scale, much faster and more accurate. You don't have to worry about making any mistakes. And then when you have all of that order management strategy there, it's going to provide like a recommendation. Hey, based upon your past 100 trades, 5-minute bar by bar would have been your best. It'll show your actual profit. Oh, you made 10 grand or 3 grand or something last month. If you followed this order management strategy, you would have made 7. And it'll show you like per trade, hey, this one you would have done better with your own personal, but this one, if all you did was just do this, you would have made this amount. And then you can kind of take the human out of it too, because you're not sitting there like second guessing yourself, like, oh, should I move my stop up? Should I do this? Should I do that? You can just pick one of those and auto apply it, and then have the software actually like implement and manage that for you. So you can just take the trade, press the button, or, hey, I'm going to follow this order management strategy for a week. And you don't have to sit there and like second guess yourself. You just press play and you enter the trade, and then you have the management, you have the software manage it for you. You can go for a walk, you can go do whatever you want to, set and forget. Here's just some of the screens. I don't want to bore you with a lot of the stuff. I mean, you can download it yourself, but just some of the new screens or some of the updates that we've added. We added the 2-minute 9 EMA and the 5-minute 9 EMA order management strategies. But this is what it looks like. So, you're in a particular trade. You click the button, hey, I want the software to manage this for me. I just go ahead and select one of these. There's a bunch of different options that we'll go through or that I could go through. And then you just press save, and it's, you can walk away, go walk the dog. You don't have to sit there and stare at it. You don't have to, worry about your emotions messing you up there. Another core feature that we have for the software, journaling and tracking. So there is a live journal dashboard. So you have a dashboard there. It shows you like, hey, here are your trades that you've taken. Here's the percent that you've journaled, and here's the percent that are waiting for a journal. So this way you can kind of like benchmark your metrics. Not just like journaling all of your trades, but also like making sure that you are journaling all of your trades, and then you have that snapshot there that you can share like with your coach or with your pod or with your accountability partner or your spouse, and say like, hey, I did journal all my trades, here are my stats. And we can expand on that and provide, sharing so other people can see your actual journal and text and everything that you need there. I'll just show an example. Oh, here's an example of the dashboard. So you see like, here's a day, like, the past 7 days, I took 11 trades, I've journaled 9 of them. Then you can see like, hey, I followed my plan 64% of the time. I've added notes that like, include my emotional everything. And then, here's my completion. So I still have like 2 more to go. And then this is kind of like what it'll show you like on a particular, this is me. This is actually these are my trades from last week, I think. So it's like, okay, I did journal these, by the way. But this is just an example before I did that. Yeah. This is an example like before I journaled them. So but this is like my real trades here. So it's like you take the trade, and then okay, I journaled these 3, and then these are the 2. You just see that there. So this way you know what you journaled and what you don't, and you can go through and actively journal those. In addition to that, we also have performance analytics. They're going to track all of your profit and loss, your win rate. You can export that and share that. I don't know if you've been seeing that on the Evolve. I'll export that and put my daily results on there. It also has weekly and monthly. Here's an example of what that looks like on the page here. It'll show you like your win rate, your R score. This was your best trade for the week, and then here's your profit factor. And those are my live whatever from last week or something. Backtesting, so some people mentioned like, hey, how do I backtest? Or some of the other software is like super complicated. I've heard from a few people. This is super easy. You enter your account info, and it downloads all of your trades and automatically backtests. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go into any other screen and be like, hey, backtest this or do that. Like, it's all automatic. It'll download your trades, and it stores it all locally on here, and it automatically just runs all those backtests per trade. Currently, it's only backtesting day trades. But we can modify that, whatever you want to do. But currently it's only doing day trades. And then with those backtesting, you have a one-click implementation. You're like, hey, this backtest just seems to kill things. I'm just going to press this button and let the software manage that. particular backtest or order management strategy. Recently, we ordered something really cool, chart integration, so you can actually see like real market data on the chart for your backtest. So this way you can prove like, hey, you know, I entered here, well, I'll show you in a minute, but I entered here and then I exited here, and then like, oh, if I just followed that strategy, it would have entered there. But just in the past like a day and a half, I probably wrote down like another 15 different feature ideas. And one of them was actually, as I was listening to Anmal, you know, go through the charts, like the older charts, like, oh, hey, here is this particular example, and you know, here's an example of a 1 minute flash and this. Pattern detection is also pretty simple to do. So like I can build very easily, you know, functions that just scour charts all over the world and just like classify and download the data for like, hey, here's a 1 minute flash, here's all the stage 3s, here's all the stage 4s, you know, and then you can just search and like with a drop down and or just select like, hey, show me all the charts that are in a stage 3 right now, and it just boom pops up a list of those, and you can kind of click and view them on the screen. Haven't implemented it yet, but I wrote it in my notebook. So here's an example of the updated backtest dashboard. So you know, you have your backtest here, and it shows you like, hey, you know, it doesn't show you what your actual profit was, but it shows you like, hey, if you followed these backtests, you could have had like an extra 174, you know, uplift or percent increase with like $7,000 more profit. It'll show you the quantity of backtests. Like, hey, I ran. Currently, we're at 5,586 backtests per trade. I think it's more than that now, but you know, it'll show you total quantity of backtests performed. Trades analyzed, like one weighting. I put that on there because a lot of people were kind of confused. We don't run the backtests until after the end of the day because I don't have all the data. So like if you're in the middle of a day and you take a trade and you exit, like it hasn't been backtested yet, it has to wait till that day finishes. It won't backtest that trade till like after 5 p.m. on that day. But yeah, here's an example of like the different potential outcomes, like order management strategies. So for instance, after running all of the backtests, you know, here's your actual profit. Oh, I lost money, but like if I followed this strategy, I would have made this much, and then, you know, here's the difference. And I think this is with like a sim account, this is my real account. But anyway, and then it'll show you all the different, you know, potential differences down here of the different strategies. You can click on each one of those, and it'll show you on the bottom. And then when you click those, this is an example of like what that chart looks like. Currently, we can improve this and add volume. Oh, there is volume on there. I already added volume, see? Look at that, adding stuff. I forgot that I added that. But you know, we can add other things on here too, and this is just kind of preliminary, but it's just to show you like, hey, you know, here's where I entered, and then here's where I exited in reality. But if I followed the strategy, you know, that's where the strategy would have exited. You know, so it's just kind of like a basic, so this way you can see on like a per trade basis. I just wanted to cover security really quick too, because I know this was huge, especially like people from the you know, people come from the EU, and you know, just in general. Anything that you put in TraderFlow, like absolutely nothing gets sent to us. Like, you know, JB, and I did a little cybersecurity stuff too. We don't get any of your info. All of the data essentially is in your broker, and it's really easy to download and reprocess, like all the backtesting and everything. But the one thing that's not is the journaling. So it's like, oh, you know, one person was like, you know, hey, I journaled all of these trades, but then, you know, my computer crashed. It's like, oh, you lost the journals with that. But, you know, it's kind of a toss-up because, you know, I don't want any of your trade data. I don't want any of your account data. Like, I don't want to be liable for anything like that, you know. But like the journaling part isn't so much. Like, you know, if you put like, hey, I felt like crap the other day, like, you know, that's not like a security breach or anything if we have that. So I was thinking about adding like, you know, like a backup feature if you want to do it, you know, where you could automatically like at least upload your journal data. But essentially that's the only thing that like, you know, is there that can't be easily, you know, replicable. Yeah. You can back up your local database. You can back up your local computer. But, you know, if people don't do that, essentially is what I'm saying.
Could you set a feature where it emails your data to you every 3 months?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Then it's still you. You're not getting anything.
Yeah, no,
you're doing it to yourself.
Yeah, you could definitely have it, email it to you every day. You could have it emailed to do any kind of thing. The only thing is like what kind of data are you emailing? So email itself is not secure. Like lots of people have been arrested for a lot of really bad things because they were like, oh, I'll just email this, and it's like, no, man, when you send an email, it goes across the whole entire internet in plain text, and anybody can read that, you know. So yeah, don't, you know, so we don't want to be emailing like account IDs or journal part, definitely, yeah. You know, I'm always saying like, oh, you know, you want to trade to be like, you know, really successful so you can go out and do those. It's like, hey, if I had all of the money in the world, like I'd still be programming because I love to do it. Like it's my fun thing. So, sometimes you knock people sitting in front of their computers, but it's like, hey man, that's my hobby. It's like, I'm super proud of what we've done so far in 3 months, and those are ideas that we have. We just haven't implemented them yet. So one of the things that I learned from the coaching was about adding that checklist, like having a personal checklist for your journaling. So we don't have that in there yet. We have a bunch of checklists, and it's super easy to that's like an extra hour of work. It's just we haven't gotten to that part yet. But having the ability to create your own checklists and then categorize them. Like, hey, I want an emotional checklist. I want a checklist for how I smelled that day, or whatever you want, so this way you can add those kind of things on there and then categorize them and run reports off of them. So there's tons of possibilities and opportunity. What we have now is just, kind of relatively preliminary, focused primarily on like the core functionality, like, hey, how you treat this as a business. Yeah, no, you can do a market, limit. We just added the cool feature that we just added, like 2 weeks ago, was as soon as you mouse move off, like you enter a symbol in there, it automatically grabs the last price, and that's streaming right there on your order entry. So you can see the last, you can also see the high of the day and the low of the day right there, and then you can set like market, limit, whatever, but then you also have that data like right there while you're entering. So like as soon as you press QQQ or something, it shows you that data, and then you can enter like, hey, this is what I want for my stop loss. It'll have your default risk there at the top. I'm doing this like you can see the picture in my head. And then it'll automatically calculate however many shares you need. But yeah, so essentially all of your data is local, and we don't have any of it, and we don't want any of it. Like keep all of your data. And even the data that's on your computer, it's encrypted on your computer too. So like if somebody steals your computer or something, they would have to go through quite a bit of work to like reverse engineer and get your account ID. So we take that, you enter the account ID in there, but I mean it's encrypted and it's in the database that it's encrypted in a key on your computer. But like none of that stuff ever gets sent to us. We don't see anything. The only information that is ever sent to us currently is like when you log in, just to make sure that like your subscription is active. So it makes a call, it's like, hey, is the subscription active? And if it is, it's like, okay, great. And then you run the software, and then that's it. That's all we get. All right, so just talk about some of the other features that we currently have in the pipeline, and this doesn't include like the 12 that I wrote down in the past day and a half. But like some of them, we're just having like an auto risk, something that updates, has like an auto update for your risk. And I think if there's anything that I got, there's a lot of things I've gotten so far in the past couple days, but most of the people that I've talked to, it seems that, a lot of people are actually pretty decent at like the technical analysis and the order entry, but where it seems the largest quantity of gaps are, including myself, are like the business management part of it, the psychology part of it, the strategy part of it. So, at least most helpful for me are these kind of things, and it seems like it might be most helpful for a lot of other people here too. So like the auto risk, that's just like straight, all these things are like straight off of exactly what Amal says. Hey, if your account size is whatever, you shouldn't be risking more than 1%, of whatever whatever's in your account. So, one of the features is like, hey, it automatically does that for you. You don't even have to play with your risk. It's like automatically calculating, like you can put in, hey, I want to, off of every trade, I just want to do 1% or 2%, and it automatically calculates your risk, and you can put a stop loss and automatically calculate your shares. Just one less thing to worry about. And then also like, that helps you in your business process, as you grow your account. It'll place, like, depending upon what order management you have, like, it'll set the order management there for you, and then, unless there's some other trigger that's, like, the software is supposed to be managing that, you can manage it yourself. You can move up your stop loss limit manually, and it won't, like, mess with you. And then you can also just click unmanage and, do whatever you want. One thing that we want to do on the Discord channel, I mean, you can add them now, put in the feature request, but we really have to get it into the point where it's, like, you're voting on those. Like, hey, these are, because if there's nobody voting on them, I'm just going to build whatever's, whatever I want to do, but I know that that's not necessarily beneficial for everybody else. So if you're like, hey, I really need this, or I really need that, or especially like if one of the coaches or somebody is like, hey, this is going to help the most amount of people, faster, we'll definitely prioritize that and put that in the pipeline quick. But some of the other things, just voice recorded journals, like we already tested that. That's also really key. This way, people like to type, but you can also put a voice in there too. And one thing about the voice is we can save that voice recording. And not right now, but like you can also pass that to AI and be like, hey, do an emotional analysis on this. Because sometimes you can tell like somebody's stressed out when they're taking something, or like you can hear it in their voice. So there's a lot of potential there for those kind of things. Periodic emotion check-ins, like he was saying at the prop firm, you have somebody that's coming by every 30 minutes, like, hey, you okay, those kind of things. Having the AI trading coach, I've tested this so far. It's kind of slow, so that's why we haven't tried to release it or anything yet. But we can feed PTS, Mastering the Trader Within. We can feed your psychology profile in there. We can put your trading plan in there, and then just say like, hey, have it automatically trigger the AI every 25 minutes or every 30 minutes, and hey, can you analyze what I've done so far today and let me know like how that aligns with my trading plan or doesn't? And then have the software just automatically start, hey, what are you doing? Or hey, call your coach, or hey, do this kind of thing. So you have that constant feedback. Yeah, so we also just recently added like a watch list. It's kind of in behind the scenes, but the database and the infrastructure is there. Probably one of the next features that we're rolling out is pre-market. You're putting your gap list, you're putting your symbols on there, and potentially like, hey, this is where, if you want to do it or not, like these are my longs, these are my shorts. And then you can do analysis after that. Like a lot of the times I'll be like, oh man, or you're reviewing the gap list from the morning. Oh, what would have happened if this? What would have happened if that? So a lot of that stuff can also be automated too, like automatically backtest all of that kind of things. Like, hey, this is what would have happened if you did do this or if you didn't do that. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. One other thing is trading education. Another thing I thought would have been really cool is like, we're going through all this stuff, and this is a really great event here, and I'm always going through 30 charts and we have it memorized now. Awesome. The last mentorship, I was the same thing, but it was like tons of information. Like 3 months later, I forgot a lot of it, or I didn't implement it. So one cool thing, we were thinking is having like this TraderFlow EDU, where you can kind of go in there and practice anytime you want. Have it like show you charts. Hey, what's this? What's missing out of this? What's good about this? What's great about that? And we can give that kind of information to the coaches to be like, to build that. Like, hey, what's an example of like a real chart you would show somebody and be like, hey, what's good about this or what's great about that? And then, we could do that with like a multiple choice or with a voice recognition and have AI interpret it and, see how well you score. You can share that. And it's just kind of like, hey, if I'm feeling like a little fuzzy and I want to sharpen my skills, I can just hop on here and play on this thing for like, an hour. And I know people get bored and stuff, so, we'll make it so it like pops up balloons and, like little funny creatures and stuff when you do well. And then when it doesn't do well, have like some demon guy come out and yell at you. And and then one last thing is just, broker improvements. I know right now we're just supporting TradeStation and IBKR, but, we are planning on adding Thinkorswim and then Webull and then the other ones, most, I've looked at the other ones. Every other broker on the planet has like the easiest API in the world compared to IBKR. So like all these other ones are gonna be super easy, and I'm not worried about any of that. So, but yeah, those are in the roadmap as well too. And I think, yeah, there we go. I think that's it. Oh, okay. And then here's like a cool QR code. It's not. I like it better than the one that was for the shooting range, because like it has a little extra boxes. I don't know. I just like the pattern. So. If you take that QR code and go to the site and